Okay, cool. All right, welcome you guys to our Body Electric weekly webinar. Tonight we're talking about consistency. It seems like maybe a pretty boring topic, but I know that probably you resonate with the idea of keeping consistent in your health and fitness. We're going to be talking how to keep it consistent with your business. So we have these calls each week. I'm super excited to be leading these for a couple weeks. We do have some guest speakers lined up starting mid-September. So you won't have to hear from me every single time, but we do have some pretty cool people lined up for the fall. So that's exciting. So let's just dive straight in. You guys know that I always like to start with some weekly announcements, most of which aren't included in the weekly announcements just because I feel like it's more fun to share some of these things in person. So I'm looking for my share button. Okay, there we go. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, one thing that we haven't talked much about, those of you guys who were at Summit probably have a little bit more information about it just from being at Summit. Hopefully you've seen the emails go out from Beachbody, or you've seen the Coach Breaking News to know that Sagi Kalev, the creator of Body Beast and Hammer and Chisel, has a new program coming out. It's just a week long, and it's called A Week of Hard Labor, and it starts on September 5th. To be completely honest, that title would scare me, and it would scare a lot of people. So I don't know if I would necessarily be promoting the brand name as much as just maybe a week of weightlifting and weight training. So Sagi is an awesome trainer. For those of you who have not worked out with him before, he's one of my favorites. Like, I love his style. He's funny. I think he's kind of cute. Like, his personality is kind of cute. So I'm excited to see what A Week of Hard Labor is going to be like. I think it's going to be very similar. The setup is going to be very similar to Sean Week. I think I heard that the workouts are anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes. So I'm going to be doing this program myself. If we have enough interest from the team, I know this is sort of a niche program for people who like to lift weights. If we have enough interest from the team, I'd love to lead a group for the team as well. So get your challengers in there. I think here's my 2 cents on this, and this is sort of like bonus material here. So I don't necessarily think that this particular program is going to sell you a Beachbody On Demand challenge pack, but I do think it might be a great opportunity to plug in your current customers or customers who are needing a change, or re-engage those customers that maybe you've that have dropped off, that you haven't talked to in a while. I also think it's going to be a great way for you to kind of create a lead wheel for your for the month of September. So getting people in for a week, they could do a week of hard labor, the program they could do for 7 days, and they could see what Beachbody On Demand is like, and then potentially hop into that Beachbody On Demand challenge pack in a bigger group. So I think you could probably use it to your advantage for promotional reasons, to get people kind of tasting what Beachbody On Demand is. So that's that. Super Saturday is on September 23rd. Hopefully you guys have grabbed your tickets for that. We do have a diamond training event beforehand, so it's kind of an all-afternoon thing happening on the 23rd. Diamond retreat coming up in Michigan. I've got the materials. I've actually been working on the materials for that. I have my packet of stuff right here. It's top secret that I've been working on to share with our diamond coaches and above. You just have to be a diamond coach. If you see the weekly announcements, or there's like an image that's also in our photos of our team page, you'll see the requirements for that. And then last but not least, of course, Summit and Indy next year. Your tickets are at coachsummit.com. So I wanted to insert here something very brief about the current Emerald training group that we have going on. First of all, I want to thank you guys, whether or not you're helping lead this group, or those of you who've done live streams for the group. I truly appreciate your time and effort there. I'm also really excited for the people who are in the group. We had really great participation during the coach internship. I'm hoping that people are still tuning in to the live streams and the information that we're providing for Emerald. We'll see if we have any Emeralds happening this week, but I know that these trainings have been sort of planting seeds and helping people understand kind of the next step in their business. So I think it's important for us to do these types of things more often. So my hope is to do a Coach Basics, maybe not every month, because I think that can get to where it's just you kind of forget about it and it becomes mundane. But maybe every other month, I think we should do something like this where we do a coach internship followed immediately by a 3-day push to Emerald. So be looking for that probably early October for the next one. So, okay, so let's talk about consistency. And again, like I said, this topic is interesting because I've been, some of you guys are doing the mastermind group right now for Relentless. So you might hear a topic or two from tonight's presentation that we've talked about in there. But I think that consistency is an interesting topic. And I think it's one that gets overlooked because I think it can seem very mundane, or it can seem like it's just for the people who are self-motivated. And I want to make sure that I'm clear in communicating that self-motivation and consistency, even though those two things do go together, you can also be someone who just needs added accountability, who can still work on being good at consistency, if that makes sense. So I love this image. I posted it way back when, and it pops up every once in a while in my time hop or my Facebook memories. It says, "My name is consistency. I'm related to success. We should hang out more than every once in a while," right? And so what I'm hoping to do tonight is to kind of just create an analogy for you, because I think a lot of us, whether you're in this business just for a hobby or you're in this business to make it a business, you guys kind of have your health and fitness figured out. You might not think you do, and I'm not saying that means you're perfect, but compared to a lot of the people that we're bringing on board as beginners in our challenge group, you've kind of figured out what you need to be doing to be consistently succeeding in your health and fitness. So now we just need to figure out what those things need to be for your business as well. So what I want to cover tonight are 3 main points, right? How to incorporate daily triggers to help make your routines easier, why daily activity in your business matters, and the vital actions that are required for the business if you're really going to treat this like a business. So we talk a lot about the vital behaviors, but what are the actions within those vital behaviors that are really going to help you stay consistent and do the work every day? So I want to stay in the comfort zone to kick things off, right? So I want to talk a little bit about kind of where we are as coaches. Most of us became a coach because we love our Shakeology. We love exercising, right? We all have an occasional missed day or an occasional I never have a missed shake, honestly. If I have to shake it in water, if in like hot water, I'll do it. Like, I never miss my shake, right? Most of us don't miss our shake, but every once in a while you have a crazy day, you can't get your workout in. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about overall lifestyle, right? Like, we have embraced this lifestyle of being enthusiasts for health and fitness, or else we wouldn't be a coach and we probably wouldn't be tuning into this call. So we drink our shake, we press play on our workout, we follow our meal plan. That's what we do, right? And we're sharing that journey forward. That's at the very end of the day, I hope you guys know that that's all we do as coaches. Like, we basically pursue being healthy ourselves, and then we just share the journey to help other people become inspired to do the same. So these activities seem to come easier to us than working our business does, right? And why is that? I believe it's because we, through habits and through things like 21-day challenges, 21-day fix, P90X, 90-day challenges, we do the activity every single day that creates a lifestyle habit for us, right? They say it takes 21 days to make a habit. That's probably why we have a 21-day reset and a 21-day fix. So we start doing those, we work out every day, we drink our shake every day, and all of a sudden we realize, wow, this is now becoming easy. It's becoming part of who I am, right? We need to get to a point in our business where our business feels the same way, right? I don't feel any different about working my business than I do about drinking my shake. Both things are going to happen on a daily basis. So the other thing that I want to call attention to is we do these things as far as our workouts and our nutrition go because we see the results, right? Like, we feel better. We have better energy. When we eat a slice of pizza, we feel that sort of lethargy kick in, right? Like, we're very bodily aware of how we feel when we're doing the right things for our body. And so that's what keeps us motivated to stay consistent with those activities. Business is a little bit different, right? Because we don't necessarily, I mean, I guess it could be, you could kind of say, in an analogy sort of way, that it is a body that you're treating well or you're feeding well by working it every day. But I guess the point is that there's no difference that we see in our business right now. If I reach out to 3 people, I might not get any response right now. If I reach out to 3 people, I might get 3 no's right now. I might not see any results with those conversations until 3, 4, or 5 months down the road. So instant gratification can come from with your health and nutrition, with your fitness, with working out. You feel that euphoric high. You don't always feel a euphoric high after you send out 20 messages and make a Facebook post, right? So it's a little bit different in that regard. So, oh yeah, here, I guess I already hammered that out in this slide, but I kind of already went over it. So the things that we're doing each and every day to work our business are very similar to what we're doing in our own health and wellness. We're just sharing it forward. We're sharing our journey. We're posting about it on our social media. We're maybe emailing people about it through email marketing. We're talking to people about it in person. We're doing our personal development every single day, and then we're inviting people to do this with us, whether it's through a challenge group or to the coaching opportunity. So again, it's more about seeing the wins, and it's more likely that we're going to see wins in our health and fitness right away than it is that we're going to see wins in our business. And I say that because, and I'm going to get to this here in a minute too, if you only knew how I truly feel like this business plays catch up to me. So from a personal perspective, like, I mean, I've told you guys, I sat at Diamond Rank for over 2.5 years. And I feel like all of a sudden from there, like things just sort of was just like a snowball. Like things just started to work out, and people started to want to work the business and join my vision and hop on board. And it was like, all of a sudden it was working, but it's not because one day was any different than the day before. It's just that I was doing the same things every single day for 2.5 years. And eventually it sort of caught on and started working well for me. So I want to make sure that we address one major point when it comes to consistency, and that is intentionality. So consistency doesn't happen by luck, and it doesn't happen by any other method than intentionality. What I mean by that is you don't just wake up consistent. You don't just, like, your body doesn't, you have to go to the bathroom every day. You have to eat your food every day. Most likely your body needs sleep every day. Your body doesn't necessarily need to work your business every day, right? So you have to intentionally seek it. You have to intentionally plug it into your calendar, create daily triggers and daily habits that are going to help you get there. So the definition of intentional is an action performed with awareness, done deliberately, consciously, and on purpose. So working our business intentionally is very different than checking something off of your list. And I can be very guilty of that myself. So I don't want you to think that I'm sitting here like preaching or something, because trust me, when we were moving last weekend, I just was going through the motions with my business. I was like, I know I need to check into my Facebook Messenger. I know I need to make a Facebook post. Like but there was no intentionality behind it. And I'm feeling the effects of that now, right? Like now I'm like, okay, who do I need to follow up with? And I'm kind of scrambling. So when my intentionality got behind, which you could say got behind because of my personal habits fell out of whack with the move, then my consistency fell out of alignment. So it kind of follows that sort of flow, right? Of daily habits and triggers, which leads to intentionality behind those daily habits and triggers, which then leads to your consistency. So, sorry, that's from last week. Okay, so let's talk about these habit triggers, because this is a huge thing for me. Now, my husband will tell you that, like, this drives him crazy. We were in a church group one time, and we had to go around the room. It was like it reminded me of like couples therapy or something. And we had to go around the room, and we had to share like something about the other person that drives them crazy, or that drives you crazy. And this has been like 8 years ago. And they got to my husband, and he was like, my wife writes down everything on her to-do list. Like everything that she's going to do, she writes on her to-do list. And she gets really upset if everything isn't marked off her to-do list. So I do have a certain level of self-motivation. It's a terrible, is anybody else with me on that? Like you just really get a lot of gratification from like crossing something off of your to-do list. So for me, like anything not crossed off, it bothers me, right? That's just who I am. So apparently it really bothers him that I have a to-do list and that I put everything on it. And so he proceeded to tell the entire church group that I even write down that I need to get the mail on my to-do list. And you guys, that's a legit thing. Like on my to-do list every single day, I check the mail. I have walk the dog. I literally have drink my shake. I have read my personal development. Now, why is that, right? A lot of those things come second nature, right? Like a lot of those things, I know I'm going to check the mail every day. I don't really have to write it down. I know I'm going to drink my shake every day. I do it because it's just burying this groove in my brain, which is a real thing, behind those habits, right? So that when I don't have my planner and I'm not following that plan, or maybe when I'm 80 years old and I'm losing my mind, I still know that I got to drink my shake, walk my dog, check the mail, right? Like those things are still part of my lifestyle. My power hour or my power half hour is also included in that. So these are just a few things that I thought of. I might think of some more while we're talking that I can share with you guys, but these are a few things that I do to just initiate action. So the first thing that I do is I have a personal development book, whatever, like right now it's Relentless, which is the mastermind book. It's laying underneath my alarm clock. So I have an actual like old school alarm clock on my nightstand. And so every night when I go to set my alarm clock, I got to pick up the alarm clock off the book, right? So it's a trigger to me, like it's time to read my personal development. And even if I'm exhausted and it's midnight or it's 1 a.m., I'm still going to pick it up and read a couple pages. I'm going to at least get something in my brain before I go to sleep at night. So it's just a small way that I'm setting a trigger for myself. If that book was just kind of all over my house, or if it was just kind of like tucked away in a drawer or sitting on the kitchen table, it's just out of sight, out of mind. So I just make sure that I read it. I put it right back under the alarm clock. That makes sure that the next night I'm going to read it before I go to bed. Does that make sense? So there's a book out there, which I'll talk about too, called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And he talks about how you can make this, just everything in your life could be a trigger. One thing that I just now thought of is I have a sound bot, which is a like a speaker. It's a portable speaker, Bluetooth speaker that suctions to your shower wall. And so it's right next to my loofah, like literally like underneath my shower, actual shower head. There's my loofah and my speaker. And so every night when I get in the shower, I, grab my loofah and then I can hit play on my podcast and I can listen to a podcast while I'm in the shower. Some people like to do that with their car. They can, as soon as they start the ignition in their car. There is an app, and I can't think of it for the life of me. I used to use it when I was working my corporate job, but there is an app. If you have a Bluetooth system in your car, there's an app that you can install on your phone that will automatically trigger a podcast to play when you start your ignition. So that's kind of cool too. Okay, so meal prep on Sundays, right? That's setting us up for a week of good habits. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm out of town on the weekend, my whole week is thrown off because it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't get my meal prep in. Like, what am I going to eat? I got to go to the grocery on a Monday. Like, this is terrible, right? So setting that habit, at least for me, works well. I know Tara has talked about sleeping in her workout clothes. I've seen her post about that on Facebook before. That's setting a trigger for sure. And then scheduling your power hour every single day at the same time. I realize that that's not always feasible, but for some people, it works. I know Jackie Suter is working right now on having that 8 to 9 p.m. power hour, right? So if that works for you, perfect, but make sure that it's plugged into your planner every single day. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to trigger yourself to do things, right? Like way back in the day before Shakeology was consistent for us, we used to set our Shakeology shaker cup right next to our coffee machine because prior to Beachbody, we were coffee drinkers. And so we were never going to go without our coffee, right? Still aren't going to go without our coffee. So we were like, we got to remember to drink our shake, right? So we started putting our shaker cup right next to our coffee machine, which would trigger us to make our coffee and then make our shake. And that helped us become regular Shakeology drinkers. So that's a very simple way that, you can start a habit. So this is an actual quote, and I dug it up from the Elite Wall because Jeff Hill talks about this so much. I knew I could find it. He's our VP at Beachbody, and he's the guy that kind of coined this term, this little catchphrase, that the business that we're in catches up to you. So the efforts that you put forth now show up to reward you in 3 or 4 or 5 months from now. Don't stop, just keep going. So I can totally see when my business takes a dip, I can usually say, okay, what was I doing 3 or 4 months ago? Like, what was I doing that was inconsistent in my daily activities that has brought me to this point, right? For me personally, this month has been a challenge, right? And I'm not blaming anything aside from myself. This month has been a challenge for me because we've moved. We've had a lot of stuff to prepare. My parents are moving in down the street too. Whoa. So lots of personal things going on, but that's not an excuse. But when I think to why it's been hard for me to connect with people this month, I think it's because I haven't really been connecting with them. I've been so focused on my own personal life and moving that I haven't necessarily been following up and connecting with those people that I was talking to before. So it's totally on me. So I really think that the activities that you were doing 3 or 4 or 5 months ago are really what's got you to where you are right now. And what you're doing right now is going to lead to what you're doing 3, 4, or 5 months from now. So this is a major point that I want to make. And this is a topic we haven't talked about in a while, which is accountability. So you guys know, right, that a lot of people own P90X or 21 Day Fix or even a bag of Shakeology, but they don't see results, right? Like how many times have you talked to somebody who's like, oh yeah, I have that, I tried that, or I've got a bag of that on my shelf, or P90X sits in my basement, but I haven't done it, right? It's very common for people to say that. Why are they not seeing results? Because they don't have anyone to hold them accountable. That's why we, on a daily basis, are pushing our challenge groups, right? We're trying to get people into these challenge groups because we know that if they can be surrounded by other people and if they have something to check into, they're more likely to press play and drink their shake and see results. So why then do we not have accountability in our business? So let me be clear with this. I do feel like I can be decent accountability for you, but I can't be your number one accountability partner, right? I can't be that for everybody. So what I think you need is an accountability partner that may not necessarily be someone that you talk to about your struggles. It doesn't have to be something that you're not, it doesn't have to be a situation where you're kindling a relationship where you talk about your struggles together or your successes together. It could just simply be a relationship where you're like, I'm going to email you every day with what I'm doing in my business. Okay. And if that needs to be me, please feel free to message me. Like I would love to be copied on your emails to see what you're up to and to see how you're working your business. It doesn't mean I'm going to respond, right? But if that makes you feel like, okay, this is helping me check in, this is helping me feel like I have that sense of accountability, then I think that's what you need to do, right? When I first decided to work this business, I was partnered with another coach, April Keever. We'd never met each other ever. This was 7 years ago. I decided I was going to work the business. And so Julie paired me with April. Never met her before. And we were like, what are we supposed to do? and Julie was like, just tell each other what you're doing every day. And we were like, okay. So the business was brand new to me and relatively new to April, although she'd been working it a little bit longer than I had. And so she started to send me emails every day. And the emails would say, this is what I did today. These are the 3 main things I did today. And these are the 3 main things I'm going to do tomorrow. And that was it. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that too. So then I emailed her back and I said the same thing. And then the next day we did the same thing, right? But it's just knowing that someone else is on the receiving end of that someone's going to wonder if you did those things or not. Same thing with our accountability groups applies to our business. So if you're feeling like consistency is something that you're lacking, this could be the missing key. It's because you have your business sitting on your shelf in your basement, but you don't have someone keeping you accountable to pressing play on it, right? So hopefully that analogy sinks in. So final thoughts for you, and I'll wrap it up because I want to make sure I can take any questions or we can talk about Emerald or whatever you guys want to talk about. But again, your efforts that you put forth in and day out add up over time. So I don't care if you only have 10 or 15 or 30 minutes to work the business, or maybe you're doing this full time and you've got 6 or 7 hours a day to do this. I don't even work my business 6 or 7 hours today, but more power to you if you want to. But no matter how much you're working your business, these things are what define us as a coach, right? We're working toward being healthy ourselves. We're sharing that journey with people through our social media, in person, through private conversations. We're growing ourselves and we're talking to people. That's it. How many times do we overcomplicate what we do, right? Like we think, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to follow up with these people and I have all these messages and I'm so overwhelmed. And at the end of the day, it's just you're pressing play, you're drinking your shake, you're telling people about it, and you're growing yourself. That's it, right? So at the end of the day, if you don't have an accountability partner, if you're thinking like this is an area of weakness for me, I hope that you will take these 4 points. I probably should have numbered them, but these 4 points, and make those the 4 checkpoints that you're talking with your accountability partner about each day. Okay. So the suggestions that I have for you guys, I'm going to try to start including some PD books recommendations for each topic that we have on these webinars. I did read a book a while ago, which I sort of forgot about, and I was looking at my shelf today, looking to see if what suggestions I had for you guys tonight. And I remembered this book. It's a really small book, but it's a good book. It's called What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast. So it's different from the Miracle Morning, but it's similar. It's a similar concept to kind of eating those frogs early in the day. The Power of Habit is the book that I was referring to. He's especially known for his psychology research on triggers. That's Charles Duhigg. It's a yellow book cover. And there is a podcast that I like. Not every single episode is amazing. I will put that disclaimer out. Some of them, like he did one on Star Wars. No offense to anybody who likes Star Wars, but I was like, I can't listen. But anyway, it's called Beyond the To-Do List. And I actually saw, Katie, I see you're on here, and I saw one today. I'm going to pull it up right now. That was his podcast. I can't find it. Oh, and it was called Being Productive Before, During, and After Traveling, which I thought was a good one. I haven't listened though, so like if he talks Star Wars, don't blame me. I mean, I haven't listened to it yet. But there's all kinds of stuff. And, even just searching the topic of consistency or the topics of habits are all, really great search words, keywords for podcasts on your iTunes too. So that's what I have for you tonight. Hopefully, if nothing else, you kind of have your wheels spinning on ways you can kind of become more consistent, because I think it's a very easy excuse to say, like if someone says like, well, why aren't things going well for you in your business right now? And for you to say, I need to be better at being consistent, right? I think that it's a very easy thing to say back, because like what's that other person going to say back to you from there? Like if you tell me that, like if you tell me like I'm struggling with consistency, like I feel kind of stuck. Like I don't really know what to do to help you. But the truth of the matter is sometimes I think it comes down to we're consistent, right? Like, so we think that we're consistently working our business, but we're not consistently spending our time on the things we need to be spending our time on. So that's my challenge to you, is to say, let's do an evaluation, right? Like how much time am I spending on my business per day? Do I feel like I'm answering messages all the time? Am I spending 2 or 3 hours, but I'm not really getting where I need to go? Then what are the activities that are going to take me where I need to go? And instead, how can I create triggers or use my planner or whatever works for you to make those actions happen, right? Because if you're spending an hour on a Facebook post, but you're not hitting Success Club, maybe the Facebook posts aren't as important as connecting to people. That's an example. So that's sort of my go forward challenge for you, is to kind of think about where that gap could be. So, okay, it looks like there's some chat messages. So I don't know why this isn't showing. Hang on one second. I'm going to stop my share. Okay. Sorry, I don't get to see the chat messages when I'm on the slideshow. Okay, so Katie, you said, when do you make that list? Which list? Sorry, I didn't see it till just now.
You make your list where you even include your mail and you include everything. Are you making that list at night or in the morning?
I make my list for that on Friday nights for the next week. So on Friday evenings, I sit down with my planner. I actually have it right here. I sit down with my planner and I write down pretty much all of my activities, personal and business, for the like starting Sunday through Friday of the next week. So I used to do it where I would actually break it apart into like personal activities, walking the dog, right? Like prepping the baby food, going to the grocery store. I would actually separate it into like personal versus business activities. But I found that for me, I do better with like an hour by hour approach. So if I try to plan out my day as best I can, I mean, it kind of changes with the baby, but if I can plan it out, then it gives me a better idea of how, yay. Yeah, it doesn't matter how you do it. It can even be on a sheet of paper, and you could do it the night before. When I was working my corporate job, I would just, before I left work every day, right, like my hours were 8:30 to 4:30. I usually left at 4:15. But at 4 o'clock, I would sit down and I would say, okay, these are the things I didn't get done today. These are the things I need to follow up on tomorrow. And that way, when I got there the next day, I already knew what I was doing. It was right in front of me.
Yeah, I only crossed off one thing. 2 things.
Did you get the mail? Chris seems to make fun of me because I put that on my list.
Unpack.
Nice. So, yeah, okay, so here. Nap time, power hour. Yeah, that's right. Yes, Abby, that's the name of it. If this, then that. But it's, if you search it in your app store, it's actually IFTT. It's really confusing. So if you search if this, then that, it doesn't come up. But if you search IFTT, and yes, you're right. It's awesome. It sets triggers for you, which is cool. And then an app to track time. You mean like time spent?
Well, I was just thinking, like, that is interesting. Like, how much time are you really spending on your business?
Right.
Because I feel like I'm not doing anything. But like tonight, I totally was talking to a guy about Shakeology and about his wife doing bod, and then I talked to another girl about what, so like I am spending time talking to people about stuff. I'm just not like sitting down for a power hour,
right?
Which I need to do, but I think it'd be interesting to have some reality around: am I really spending as much time as I think, or am I? Or it would just, I think it would just be good to, like.
I feel like I've heard of something. I mean, Abby, I don't know if you know the name of it or not, but I've heard of something that you can. It's like a plug-in or something on your computer that can track it. I don't know if it'll track it on your phone, but it's something where you can like actually. I think you have the ability to track your time spent on like your social media, and you can also track. You can also make it so that it shuts down everything except for one browser. I've heard of this thing. I'll have to ask. I think Erin Young might have told me about it. I'll ask her if she can give me the name of it. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to do, but I've actually been pretty good recently at making sure that I'm only doing my work in the morning and the evenings, which really has been honestly made a little bit easier by Ellery wanting my phone all the time. So you realize how much you really want to work your business when your daughter wants your phone all the time. So if I pull my phone out, even to listen to a podcast, like she wants it, she starts chewing on it, and next thing you know, like Five Little Sharks is playing instead of Entree Leadership. So, but I've been really consistent about like doing some work in the morning before she gets up, and then checking in again in the evening or when she's asleep. So when you're forced into those little like windows, you kind of see where you were scattered before. So I could see where you're like, I don't know how much I'm tracking. I totally get it, but I'll have to ask and see if I can remember the name of that. I feel like it's a computer plugin or something. Yeah.
Katie, I didn't track my time so much, although I wondered the same thing because most of my time I have to work in 5-minute pockets here and there. And I'm not saying I'm great at this. I'm trying to get more consistent with it. But I had a lot of success a couple of months ago when I started really using the business activity tracker. I have one like this paper just from the Coach Online office. And so I could at least track my activities, even though I wasn't necessarily tracking all of my time. I still like to know time because I feel like sometimes I'm spending way too much time on things. But at least if I was working in 5-minute chunks or whatever, I would just track the activities because the time just got crazy. And I'm finding now that I'm back at work, I'm trying to force the power hour because I don't have those 5-minute chunks anymore. Most days that I'm at work, I might have 4 minutes to eat lunch, and that's it throughout the day. So I don't have those 5-minute breaks anymore. So really forcing it after Holly goes to bed into the hour. I'm trying that method. It's hard, but it's another long stretch. I feel like my days are very, very long without the little break, but it seems to be it's the only time I've got.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that because it makes me think of a couple of different things. Number one is I think it was a Bob Heilig. I don't know if you guys follow Bob Heilig. He's like I can't think of what's his podcast? Virtual Upline. The Virtual Upline podcast. He also has a Facebook page where he does a lot of videos and stuff, which are really good. But I heard him say one time that he incorporates urgency into his messaging. And I've seen I don't know if you guys have checked out that document that's like, I think he has like a free giveaway that I think I sent to you guys, or at least I posted somewhere. I have it if you want it, so you can just message me for it. But it's like it's a bunch of scripts, and so he actually will incorporate urgency into his language. So he'll say, "Hey, I wanted to reach out to you. I have a really awesome thing that I'd love to chat with you about. I'm actually on my way to the grocery store right now, or I'm on my way to an appointment right now. So I don't have time right now, but is there any way we could set something up for next week so that I want to make sure that I get this shared with you?" I had someone use that on me like 2 weeks ago. She's a Roden and Fields rep, and we went to college together, and she was like, "Hey, Jenny," it was so funny because I didn't even pick up on it. Like, even being in network marketing, I didn't even pick up on it. She was like, "Hey, Jenny, I'm actually heading out the door to pick up my son from daycare. But I thought of you when it came to this new thing that I'm doing, and I want to make sure that I share it with you. And it would also be awesome to reconnect. Is there a time next week that would work for you? This week's pretty crazy for me, but I would love to, hook up." And I wrote her back. I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to connect." And I was like, "Sure." And then I was like, "Wait a minute." Like, in my mind, I was like, "Wait a minute. Right. I'm in this business too." So I wrote her back and I was like, "Well, I have things to share too." Like, I was totally like blindsided by it. But the point though is that, and this isn't necessarily where you were going, but it made me think of it, is to incorporate that urgency, whether you have the urgency or not, right? So Jackie might only have 5 minutes, or doesn't have 5 minutes, but I'm sure there's a sense of urgency a little bit in your messaging just naturally because your lifestyle is so busy, and that probably works to your advantage. So what I'm getting at is, if you're sort of just responding to messages as you get them, or if you're letting the other person sort of lead the conversation, or you're kind of like just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're kind of just following suit, then there's no urgency, and there's no reason to ever kind of push things with that. I realize that I'm just that type of person. So you guys probably know this about me, right? Like, I'm a very like, send me the bullet points. Like, I don't really want like the paragraphs or the novel or whatever. Like, just send me the bullet points of how things are going. That's the type of person that I am. And so that's how I approach my customers too. And that's why probably some people resonate with me and some people don't, because I'm like, this is my group. And they're like, well, I want to know blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, here you go. Like, I'm going to give you, this is what you need. Do you want to do it or not? Right. So I'm very like short, concise, to the point, urgent. Do you want to do it or not? So I'm not talking about their sister's cousin that passed away and how blah, blah, blah. Like, we're not going into that sort of like, relational conversation necessarily. So use urgency to your advantage, whether you have, unlimited time or limited time. Use that language in your conversations, because I think it helps people understand that you really, like, this isn't necessarily an agenda that you're trying to follow. You're not necessarily trying to get them to do anything. You just want to share it with them, and you're busy too. So you want to be mindful of their time and also mindful of yours.
How do you make sure you don't cross into the line of seeming too busy, because I've heard warning before that, like, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm so busy as a Beachbody coach, because nobody else wants to be more busy. So how do you feel like you have urgency, but without it seeming like, because you have too much time in your life?
I think that there's a way to sound not necessarily busy, but just that you're very strategic with your time versus I'm busy and overwhelmed, right? So I think there's a difference between, like, for me, I'm a very scheduled person, right? So if I was going to reach out to somebody, I don't think they would necessarily think that I'm just always busy all the time, or that what I do is overwhelming. I think they would just think Jenny likes to keep a schedule. So, or Jenny, you know what I mean? Jenny's very like focused and prioritizes her time. And so I think that there's a difference between the two. So I think if you're someone who's always just, I'm so busy and I'm running my kids everywhere, and my kids are doing everything and they're in every sport, and oh my gosh, I still have to go to the grocery, and I'm also this Beachbody coach, and I run a team of people, right? But there's a difference between sounding really busy and that not being very sexy to people. Like that's not attractive. Like why would I want to be a coach if I'm just busy? Versus, hey, you know, for me, like a lot of times I'll tell people, I can't connect with you tonight. I'm really sorry. I lead my team call on Wednesday nights, but I would love to chat tomorrow if tomorrow's better for you. Right? So that comes across more like I'm a business person. I'm treating my business like a business. Or I have a lunch appointment. I can't talk to you today, but how about tomorrow? Right? So I'm putting off the impression, which is a true impression, that I'm a scheduled person, that I'm organized, that I'm trying to follow I'm treating my business like a business, right? Versus just I'm busy, and I can't talk to you right now. Hopefully that, I don't know if I communicated that well, but hopefully that makes sense. Okay, cool. So how is everybody doing with Success Club? Because it's end of month. So I'm asking because I want to give you a couple things that I'm doing that hopefully are going to help. So I did a live stream tonight, which I know I'm right there with you guys on live. I'm not a live streaming type, but I decided to just go out there and say like, hey, I have an offer going on this month. And I literally, like before I went live, I thought to myself, like, I should probably write some notes out before I do this. And it was like 3, 2, 1, you're live. And I was like, hi, everybody. So anyway, 389 views later, I just sort of wung it. And I was like, I talked about Fixate. I talked about recipes. I talked about how I love fall foods. I talked about how the recipes that are going to be incorporated into my next challenge group are going to incorporate those fall foods, soups, chilies, etc. And I ended up having 3 people reach out saying that they saw my live stream. They wanted to know more information. So Facebook Live is a great way to do that. And it's probably not the smartest to always do some sort of like straight up invitation when you haven't done anything else on Facebook Live in a long time. But I just decided to do it and it worked. I felt like I tried to stay authentic to myself. And I had the cookbook as a little prop. But I talked about how fall foods are one of my favorite things and I wanted to focus my next group on that. And sure enough, I had like one lady reach out and she's like, I'm an absolute freak for every kind of chili. Like I have to have every chili recipe and whatever. So I thought, well, this will be fun. So I kind of got the idea about my next group through just winging the live stream. So now I'm sort of rolling with this whole like fall foodie, I'm calling it the Fall Foodie Fitness Challenge. So, because everybody likes F words. So anyways, but you could try something like that. I sent out an email blast as well tonight. So I sent out like a really quick gift with purchase incentive. I'm probably going to post about it again tomorrow. So it's not just like a one and done thing. And I sent yesterday and today, I sent a total of 43 follow-up messages, 43 follow-up messages. People that I talked to like 6 months ago, people that I talked to 2 weeks ago, like you name it. So the good news is that I have like 7 people that we got to the point where we weren't going anywhere. So I'm like, why don't I mail you a sample, right? So I still feel like I have them interested and now I'm going to send them some samples. So I have some people lined up for next month, but I can kind of sense that they're not ready for this month, if that makes sense. So just because it's end of the month, maybe if you're feeling, maybe if you're Abby right now, you're like, I'm feeling pretty good. But if you're anybody else on this call and you're like, I don't know, like this is making me nervous. Like, I don't know, it's end of the month, like last 2 days of August. It's not over, you guys, it's not over. So send your messages, send your follow-ups, maybe send out an email blast with an incentive. Facebook Live, if you guys want to take the Fall Foodie Fitness Challenge idea and run with it, or if you want to help me run that group, that's cool too. But just do something that's true to you and be authentic on your Facebook Live. Erin Young sent me a message today and she's like, you need to go on Facebook Live. And I was like, I haven't even like, I brushed my teeth today. Like that's as far as I got. Like I've been unpacking boxes. Like I'm not live streaming. She was like, no, you have to. She's like, you have to live stream today. That's the power of accountability, you guys. You have to have an accountability partner that tells you that you have to do the things you don't want to do. So, okay, so I've kept you too long. So if you guys have any other questions about consistency or Emerald or how to rock your Success Club at the end of August, I'm happy to answer those offline. This will be recorded as usual. So I appreciate your time and I will see you guys next week. In the words of Ellery, bye-bye.